Hey, this is Deepesh, and I'm going to take you through what I call the four funnel system. And this is something which is really a big part of how I set up accounts and campaigns within Facebook and thinking about how to structure the audiences and the creatives in the right way to get the best performance. So, what is a funnel? The main thing about funnels when you think about kind of marketing and sales context is the traditional way of looking at funnels was on the one side you had your advertising, so the advertising part of marketing where you're pushing messages out, maybe pulling people through, and then your sales part. So the traditional model would say, I will publish these ads and then you will convert them. And that was a kind of the simple way of looking at it. The reality is that the sales part of it is so intertwined with the advertising and the marketing that they can't help but come together. In the olden days, there used to be a separate sales team, separate marketing team. One was maybe a call center or maybe even a physical store, and there was a quite clear split between the two. But now, in the digital age and the way that we do marketing now, as a marketer, as someone who's running ads, you're expected to be getting involved with acquiring the traffic and also converting it as well. So when you're thinking about funnels, whether it's your campaign setup or the funnel that a customer goes through, you're looking at both sides of that. So within Facebook, if you look at the activity that goes on as far as, let's say, your website goes, and using a website in this model, you have your platforms, in this case Facebook, where people can view ads, they can click ads, they can like pages, etc. That's all off-site, that's all away from your website. And then you have the activity that happens on your website. So someone landing on the landing page, maybe viewing a product, add to cart, purchasing, etc. So when I look at a funnel, I'm looking at the off-site elements that happen away from my website and then the on-site that happens within the website as well. And fundamentally, when it comes down to Facebook, you have three key things that you need to get in place and get working well and get the customers to elicit the action that you want them to take. So getting the audience in place, getting the right offer, and also the right creative. They're the three things that it comes down to when it comes to Facebook ads. And then, all the rest of it, the bidding, the optimization, is all kind of falls off the back of that. But these are three of the fundamentals. Get those in place, pull people out of Facebook, get them to take your action and land on your site. And that's the kind of way I look at my funnels. And so the next slide here is the funnel that I have been using for many years now. And I know it's also something which Facebook are also promoting as well. I would say that I actually invented this and I suggested to Facebook use this, invent as far as Facebook ads go. Who knows whether they got it out there first? I did. I've been using this for many years now. I think I first shared it with them maybe in 2014. But it's a way of kind of splitting your audiences by where they are in your funnel. So the cold audience is at the top of your funnel. So if you think about this diagram here, the cold audience is up here, and then all the way down you go to warm, hot, and existing. And so within looking at that, I'm looking at different objectives that I'm using, looking at different types of audiences, my excludes, my placements, and my creative as well. This is like a template. This is exactly how you need to set it up. This is a template where, in my recommendation, is to use these separations for your campaigns to help visualize and plan your budgets, your creatives, your audiences. But it may be the case that in some cases you're only using cold traffic targeting and then just retargeting. In some cases, you're using all four of these. So this is something which you kind of graduate into as you're developing your campaigns as well. Now, when it comes to your funnel and thinking about the customer journey, one thing that I found time after time is the lower the value of the product or the service you're selling, the shorter the funnel. It makes sense. If you're selling a $25 product and it's something that it's easy to explain to the potential consumer what it is, how they benefit, etc., it doesn't take too much for them to consider whether they're in market for that or not. It's either a yes or no. You don't really need to go through some big job of convincing them to buy, let's say, a book for $25. When you can convince them the value, they know the author, they know the content, and it fits into their life and fixes a problem. So that's really quite simple way of selling. So in that example, you may just have some cold audience targeting and some retargeting, and that's it. Now, when it goes to kind of high value ticket items, and as I got the scale, I'm looking at $50, 100, 500, and then into the thousands, then your funnel length is likely to be longer. Doesn't mean that you're hitting people with more ads or making your campaign more complex. It just means that you're going to have a lot more touch points and a bit more time between those touch points to get them to convert. So what I mean by that is if you're selling a digital product for, let's say, $2,000, $3,000, you're not going to get them with the first ad. Unlikely, unless you're a huge name and they just already know you, in which case you've primed them before. Don't put down the value of branding and positioning and things like that. If you're able to put your name out there and you're a Gary V or a Richard Branson or any of these kind of big names, and you say here, like, I'm selling my book or I'm selling a course, and you need to get in, etc., then you might be able to convert. But even then, you still need to get people to be convinced that they need to buy your product. So the funnel and the cycle is slightly longer. And again, going into this format, it would probably mean that you're doing some cold prospecting, but you may be spending a lot more time warming people up, getting them to your site, and doing a lot of work with retargeting. Alongside that, you might be pushing emails and bots and things like that. So the complexity and the length and the duration that people go through is a lot longer and kind of more considered for a high ticket item. So that's the way I kind of look at the funnels and breakdowns. Now, when it comes to selecting how to get started, when you're running your account, generally there's two sides of it. If you're starting a brand new campaign, a new ad set, etc., a new account, a new product, you've only got cold to play with. You don't really have anything else to play with. If you're working on an existing account, there's already an established sales pipeline, you've got existing customers, start off with a hot, fix up your retargeting. You've already got traffic going to the site, make your retargeting as strong as it can be, and then start filling the top of the funnel with your cold audience targeting. The cold audience is the people who have generally not heard of you or your brand or your product before. The warm audience targeting is the people who have engaged with your brand or products in some way but have not clicked. So literally the hot audience is people that have clicked into your site. And the bridge between that is this warm audience where they may have viewed a video and you can retarget. They may be fans but have not clicked or purchased. They may be on the email list, and maybe you've done a contest or some other kind of email capture and brought them into your world. They may not have clicked or visited the site or purchased, and therefore again it's a warm part of the audience targeting as well. And the way I kind of like to set this up is my creative matches the intent or the position of the user. So if they're brand new to the product or brand, then I'm trying to convince them to take notice of me. So if you go through the creative part of the course and go through the different ways of capturing attention, I'm working a lot more harder to get their attention in the newsfeed. Then as I go down the funnel, I know they know me, and I'm trying to find a different approach here. Then into retargeting, it's all about direct response and kind of pushing testimonials, breaking down barriers and things like that. And then your existing customers are your email lists, your pixels of people that have already purchased from you, and you're trying to squeeze more value out of them. So just to give you two examples of how I would approach this, let's say I am selling a product for $25. More than likely, I'm only running two parts of the funnel here. So the cold campaigns here and also the retargeting. So this is just a simple view of how that might look. Cold traffic targeting, hit my sales page, and then I want people to go into the order page and then hit the thank you. Or maybe, I want to extend that and I want to do some retargeting. So combine the two. For those that bail out, hit them up with retargeting and then bring them back through. And this is to do with kind of the naming convention as well, which you'll see in the training as well, of the way I like to label my campaigns. So if I have a campaign up here, let's say it's a website conversion, I'll use the level and the name of the part of the funnel to label that, as well as knowing that it's a website conversion. There's a few reasons behind that. One of the maybe lesser obvious ones is when you're analyzing your account, you can do a search for campaign equals cold, and you can look at your stats, your analysis, your performance at that level. When you get to the section around automation, you can also then say, right, I only want these automations to run on my cold audience because your CPAs are different there. So the naming convention also comes into play at the campaign level, and that's something which I prefer. And then in this example, I just want to show you like a real simple high ticket value funnel. So driving cold traffic to an opt-in page, which takes you to a webinar recording. If you opt in, you follow an email sequence, get pushed into a webinar, order page and thank you, and that's the kind of the single route through. Then within that, you've got Messenger, maybe that takes you back to Facebook or back into back into the email sequence or back into the webinar. And then you're also running Facebook ads to mirror your emails. And then you've got the other side where people don't convert through cold traffic into the opt-in. You retarget them with a video ad based on percentage of views. And that's where the warm traffic comes in. So if I'm running cold traffic here, there's two routes here. So when I've got my cold traffic campaign, either you'll click and you'll go straight into this retargeting pot if you don't convert, or you'll engage and then I can get you into my warm. So in this example, there's a video ad you've engaged with, you're now in my warm traffic pot, and I'm going to send you back to my opt-in. So that it's all about recapturing, re-engaging, and retargeting people to come back into your funnel. So that's kind of how I prefer to set up my accounts, 4 key levels of setup. And you'll see in the subsequent training in the videos how that looks like within my account as well.